Good morning. The secret of success is being crystal clear as to your purpose and directions, and having the courage to act accordingly.
Friends, and welcome. Let's start our class today with a prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Guru Preceptors, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, beloved Master Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. We ask thy blessings on our chanting class today. May we feel inspired to sing thy name in all circumstances of our lives. We are thine, be thou ours. Om Shanti, Shanti. Let's hear a song of Swamiji's now, then we'll hear an excerpt from a talk by Swamiji on chanting. I'll read a little bit of something Swamiji said and we'll go into our class. Welcome again, friends.
Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim. Through all trials we sing thy name, joy in thee is life's sole aim.
A lot of music has a very negative quality to it. The music that you hear in cars sometimes, I was standing out on the street yesterday and somebody was driving by and the sound from his radio, I don't know how he could take it. I was outside the car. The only thing is that the window was open, but he was right there surrounded by this this heavy rock, rap music. It's destructive. It's even been found that when they play this kind of music to plants, that within 2 weeks the plants die. And another interesting point, is that jazz, which is not necessarily a harmonious kind of sound, but they found that radishes thrive under jazz. And of course, radishes have a certain jazzy piquant, little bite to them, don't they? But mostly what plants seem to thrive under is, and much more so than with no music, is waltz music or symphony music, sitar music, music that is calming and that is uplifting. Now you, in your own speaking, can bring these chakras into play. And particularly the voice, if you will bring it through the heart chakra and upward. You see, in singing lessons, when they teach bel canto style, they teach you how to use your body as a sounding board. And I studied singing, and I know how to use my body as a sounding board, but this is very different. You can get a big chest tone, and it can fill a whole auditorium. You can bring it up into the head and fill so that people on the highest balcony can still hear you clearly as a bell. This is a technique, but it's not the technique I'm talking about. Having studied singing and done a lot of singing, I began to discover something else. Because I had been practicing yoga, I discovered that when you let the sound come not from the chest, but from the heart, that you can bring love, a harmonious quality to your heart and to your voice. Now, most people don't know that, and they do like what I said about the hose. In order to get any volume in their voice, they tighten the vocal cords. So they'll talk like this. You hear people as they get older, they talk more and more with a sense of tension in their throats. Isn't it so? Young people much less so. But if they could learn which singing teaching, I think that singing, you know, Plato said that music is one of the 3 most important subjects to teach children. The voice can become a very good tool for introspection, for self-analysis. By speaking by changing the voice and making it sweeter, by bringing it up through the heart chakra, which is just behind the heart and the spine, you will find that you yourself can develop kindness and love and harmony.
I like to read something from Swamiji on chanting. We need to awaken feeling, and that can be emotional. But the thing with emotion is that it goes outward. If you can take that awakened energy upward toward God, then it becomes devotion. The big difference between emotion and devotion is the direction of energy. The energy goes up, it's toward devotion. Master, when he chanted, would have people play the tabla or the mridanga drum. And Dr. Lewis, who was a Boston dentist, just couldn't relate to that kind of music. But Master said to him, "Get into it, doctor. It shakes the karma loose in the spine." Master said one time in a Christmas meditation, "Whip up the heart's feelings." Some people, in the name of being yogis, think they should never be like that. But of course we should be like that. In fact, in Essence of Realization, Essence of Self-Realization, there's a story about a disciple who went to Master and said, "Some of the other monks are saying that I'm too emotional in my chanting. Is it wrong to be emotional and to be outward in my expression?" And Master answered, "By no means is it wrong. It's fine. Roll on the floor with your love for God. The thing is that the energy should be directed toward God. And therefore, the direction it needs to go is toward calmness. If you just stay in that whipped up energy, then everybody gets up and talks, and there's nothing else to it. After the heart's feelings are awakened, it's necessary to challenge the energy upward in meditation into silence. Otherwise, you shout to God, you sing to God, you don't listen for his answer. And what kind of conversation is that? It's essential for the proper use of chanting, of bhakti yoga, to also listen in the inner silence. But thinking of that, I remember one person who had a way of chanting the songs, which was so internal that by the time you reach the end of it, you were asleep. You've got to awaken the mind. So I'd like to start today with this topic. It's such a wonderful topic. I want to get into why, when, what to chant, when, all of the different aspects of chanting. But the first thing I want to say is how important it is. A lot of people put it to the side and say, oh, it's not for me. I can't chant. I can't sing a note. I'm tone deaf and whatever. But even if you are, there are so many recordings that you can listen to. And chanting is half the battle, Master said, of the spiritual life, of meditation. It breaks through the wall in meditation. And I've found that over the years, without chanting, there's a big wall there and it just can't break through to go deeper. And so the first point I want to go into is why chant. Chanting helps to draw your energy up. It helps to purify your thoughts. It helps to calm the mind, calm the emotions. It's a preparation technique. I want to say that. It's a technique, just like Hong Sa, just like Om technique, just like Kriya. Chanting is a technique, a way of lifting the energy up to the heart. And then we meditate, we bring that up. Now, otherwise, you're trying to lift it all the way up to the Kutastha, whereas with chanting, you can get it halfway up here to the heart. Then as you meditate, you just draw it up. So chanting is a vital part of a sadhana. Now, the next part is when to chant. Now, this is important. Do you chant before you meditate? Depends on you, depends on your bhav, depends on how restless you are, depends on how open and receptive you are. Sometimes you may want to chant one chant or two chants before you meditate. Other times you may want to chant in the middle of the meditation. I know that seems a bit unorthodox, but if you're so restless there, or you're getting ready to get up and you just can't take it anymore, then it's good to chant a little bit, even with the recording. And then you'll find that, wow, I'm back in the feeling of meditation again. Or you can pick up your harmonium. I brought some instruments today, I'll show you. But so you can chant before, you can chant during, or the break time in your meditation, taking a chanting break, or you can chant afterwards. Now, here's the thing that happens with chanting, at least for me it happens, probably for many of you chanters. Sometimes if you start chanting at the beginning, then you just can't stop. I mean, it's an hour has gone by and you're still chanting, and then you lost your time for meditation. So you have to balance the two out. But either of those times is fine. What to chant? Now, this is important. People chant anything. I just chant anything I like. And I remember before Swamiji wrote his chants, and I didn't know many of Master's chants, at the very beginning on the path, I would chant anything. Because I liked the rhythm and the beat, and I just was getting into it, but I didn't feel that good afterwards. It was interesting. I was on another vibrational level. Now, this is subtle. Master's chants, he sang them over and over and over and over. He blessed them and he gave them to us. He went into ecstasy in those chants, and he opened the door that if we sing those chants, we can uplift our consciousness to where he was. And Swamiji the same. Now he wrote 400 pieces of music. Many of them were chants. And he went deep into those chants. It wasn't like, here's a chant, sing it. So the chants that we have, I would say mainly chant Masters and Swamiji's chants. Now, Swamiji sang some Indian chants regularly, Hymn to Brahma, Om Namo Bhagavate, but not many. Sri Ram Jai Ram, a few of them he would chant, and we would chant along. But then, the chant that Swamiji chanted all the time for maybe, I don't know, decades, it seemed, near at the end of his life, in the latter part of his life, he chanted Door of My Heart almost every time, Door of My Heart. And you'll find that you feel an attunement with certain chants and you want to chant those. So I would say mainly stick with Master's chants and Swamiji's chants, because they are like a key to open our consciousness and uplift it to where they are. And you can add others here and there, special evenings, Shivaratri, different times of the year, but mainly chant Masters and Swamiji's chants. How to chant. And this is the last point, then I want to show the instruments. Now, let's remember that chanting isn't a performance. And I've seen this at different times, that it's not about performing a song. It's about self-realization. This is a tool to self-realization, to super consciousness, to merging with God. I'm the bubble, make me the sea. There's so many beautiful chants, but sing them with your heart. How to sing the chant is first more loudly, and with the crowd it's different, with a big group, but by yourself sing it loudly to get the mind engaged, and then automatically it'll go more and more quietly, and then you'll be at the point where you're barely singing, it's whisper chanting, and then chant until you can't chant anymore, you can't sing anymore. Now, that's how to chant. And with a group, you need to lead the group, but still, you're not performing, you're aiding the group to be able to meditate. And when you're with the group, it's better to have a couple of other musicians with you, someone playing an Indian drum or tabla, or someone playing kirtals, which I'll show now, because people get off and they go on their own, and it gets slower and slower and slower till like you're falling asleep, like Swamiji said. And so chant with vigor, but also chant with heart. Sing from the heart, then you'll feel the energy building and building until you feel so purified and uplifted, and you've changed your level of consciousness so that you go into a deep level of meditation. Now ask all of you, think about this. After a kirtan or after chanting, let's say you chanted 3 or 4 chants, what happens? You have to meditate. You're drawn inside and your energy is uplifted and you just want to meditate. That's the goal of chanting. That's where we should be. We shouldn't be, it's so rajasic that afterwards you just get up and start doing things. No, it's calmer and calmer. And with kirtan, by the way, Swamiji said that kirtan should be chanting interspersed with longer and longer and longer periods of meditation. So it shouldn't just be an hour of chant, pass the harmonium around, chanting. Chanting should lead to meditation. And if you do it in that way, you'll feel that it's very, very uplifting. Now, I would like to show some instruments for chanting. I hope you'll be able to see this harmonium. I'm going to bring the screen down a little bit so you can see better, maybe. Yeah, you can see the top of it, yeah. I'm not going to play a chant. I'm going to change this sound. But I would like you, I want to inspire you to get an instrument, if at all possible. So this is a wonderful heart instrument. I've played instruments all my life from the 4th grade. I think it just is something that's in my consciousness. It has always been there, but just listen to the sound. So easy. This has a wonderful vibration. it's a little organ, and you certainly just feel right here this pulsating energy in the Anahat chakra. And so even if you can't play, you can find, like this is just a chord, you can just play that and just chant Om. Now, just about anybody can do that. So harmonium is an easy instrument to play. The easy, simple chants, you'll be able to play them. I think you can learn, if you're at all musically inclined, you can learn, aim for one chant in a week. Now, I'm showing you the instruments that Swamiji played. Just let me adjust this again. He played the harmonium, and he encouraged us to play the harmonium. He encouraged the acharyas to all learn the harmonium and play chants. And so you have Jyotishji, Jayaji. They're not necessarily musically inclined, but it's a part of our sadhana, and it's a part of teaching, is to uplift yourself, cleanse your consciousness, and through chanting, and be able to chant along with others. So Swamiji also had a big tanpura. This is a small one, but these are more easy to work with. What a wonderful sound. You can sing very simple chants like Om Namo Bhagavate, or just Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So you can see how this is just so easy. And if you get the small one, I'll just tell you a secret, it's like so much easier to tune than the large one. I've had the large one, I've had a couple of those, and this small one is just easier. Then I brought the kirtals, which are, you can play a chant, a recording, and just play and sing along. These are very, you can buy these in the Tibetan market up here in NCR, but you can find them a lot of places. This is a heart instrument as well. Bells are for the heart opening. So is harmonium, so is tanpura. Okay, then I brought the gong. Now, the gong is, I just love the gong. I mean, there's so many types of gongs. I haven't been able to get the one that's really I like, but this one is good enough. This is like a personal gong. You can see it. These are, you can buy them around. I also got this up here in the Tibetan market, and you get a striker. Then you just slowly start off with soft. Then it gets louder. You go around the edges. It gets louder, and you can play louder. This is fantastic. Really awakens the energy in the whole spine, I would say, and brings it up to the brain. Master played the gong, and Swamiji had a fantastic gong. We still have that one at Ananda Village. Now, the gong, what do you do with it? You don't have to even know how to sing. You can just, beginning of your meditation, end of your meditation, middle if you feel restless, you can just tap on the gong, and you'll find that it's just cleansing. You feel very purified. That's the vibration of the gong. So I hope this is helpful. the small tanpura, a harmonium. You can also get a keyboard. And there's the guitar, which I don't play the guitar. I've tried, but I just never could get it. But the guitar has got a great rhythm for chanting. And often you'll hear guitar and harmonium together, which is wonderful. Guitar, harmonium, one of the Indian drums, kirtals together. You just lose yourself in that vibration. Okay, so I'd like to go to the questions now. I'll ask Nitendra to come on screen.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. We do have a lot of questions, and I hope it's okay if we can go beyond the
Yeah,
time.
I definitely can go beyond.
The first question, Dhyanaji, is I am tone deaf and cannot tell one note from the other. How can I get started with chanting? Is there any hope for me?
Is this a personal question? so
Let's do it. Yes.
Well, I would listen to recordings of the chants and just start singing along with them. And I would get in a class. You can learn these things, you know. You can learn from a harmonium teacher, a voice teacher, or someone who does both. These things you need to learn. And unless you just have a beautiful voice from when you were born. And most people don't. And I find here, I could be wrong about this, but I find here in India that people, you have to be a perfect and a performer to be able to open your mouth and sing. And that's just not it. I mean, spiritual singing is just, it's just so wonderful. I mean, you just lose yourself that way. And so sing along with recordings and get a teacher. And different centers, I'm sure people have people who can teach different ones how to chant. I learned on my own. I would just every day go in and pick a chant. And I had played instruments before, so I could, I mean, I was musically inclined. So then I would listen and I could pick that note up and I just started playing. And every day I'd try to learn a new chant. But I was into it. For people who aren't into it, just listen and chant along, in the car even, just when you're walking. And you'll find that even is really will help you to open up. The reason I'm saying this is it opens you to go deeper in meditation. That's the purpose of chanting. It's not like, oh, I like chanting, I like the clap, I like the kirtans, I like it. It's no, it deepens you. Your experience, I would say, is twice as deep. I know that seems like a lot, but I would say for myself, it's twice as deep if I chant.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. That is encouraging. The next one, it's a live question. Since I cannot chant myself, but I do play chants in the background, like while doing housework or office work. Is that fine, or should I be chanting during the meditations as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say once a week, try to chant during your meditation time. At least that. So otherwise, it's not that focused. It's like, you know, there's all kinds of things going on. And then you're chanting as well, and you know, you want to use it as a, and I haven't said this before, but you want to use chanting as a technique. You see the difference? And oh, chanting's good or not good. It doesn't matter if it's good or not good for you. Chanting is a technique for drawing you inside and lifting your consciousness up and going further, deeper, into a higher level of consciousness, a different dimension altogether than you're going to get with your mind racing around and your heart beating, and you're not, you know, it's just chanting can, and I'm telling you from my own experience, the wall, you get to the wall, you can't go anywhere. How are you going to get through that wall? The wall of restlessness, the wall of worries, the wall of fears, the wall of thoughts. It's just like a big wall. And if you get your harmonium out, or sometimes I get the gong and bang, just hit it hard, and it just dissolves the wall. So when you get to that point where you're facing that wall every day in meditation, you just say, I got to do something. And so even if you get a little speaker, put it in your meditation room, or take your phone in there and have a headset. And when you're up against the wall, you play that music and you start chanting, and then boom, you're able to break through.
Thank you, Dhanaji. The next one is, I'd rather go into meditation and not chant beforehand. Is that okay? Or I could chant for an hour and then do feel to meditate much afterwards. So how do I balance these two?
Yeah, I think I answered that already, right? But basically, if you can chant before, now here I don't want to disturb all the neighbors even before, but if you can, basically integrate chanting into your life. That's what it's about. And you'll have periods in your life where you're chanting every day. You just can't wait to get in there and learn a new chant. Other periods, you're not chanting every day. Maybe you're chanting once a week. But I remember in B10 by 8 at the first ashram here in Gurgaon, many of us, Sunny was there, Ashish was there, Dr. Radhika, various ones, and one night a week we would just everybody brought their harmonium, we would just sing out with joy. We just learned, every week we learned a new chant. And so chanting is fun. It's not, it just goes in the heart. It's not a mental thing. So just integrate it as you can.
Thank you, Dhanaji. The next one you already showed, but if there is anything additional to add, what are some instruments that we could use for chanting?
Yeah.
How can we get them? And are there any classes that we can take online to learn them?
Yeah, I would take classes from the centers. There's always somebody. I know Gurgaon has offered classes many times, and I don't know about all the other centers, but if you really want to learn, you need a teacher, typically, because you don't have the inspiration, and your instrument's just collecting dust. You bought it, but you never touch it, and you need somebody there to inspire you. And Ananda, for at least 35 years, has bought harmoniums at one place up here in the NCR. And people are all over India who are watching this, but at Bina harmoniums, we've gotten those. And I've gone there and picked out harmoniums for people. I've always gotten one there. They have wonderful musical instruments. So you can go there, or there's places all over India where you can find these instruments. What I want to say is, if at all possible, if you're interested, if you feel you're at this point in your sadhana, get something. Get some, even a keyboard. You can just play, a little bit on a keyboard. And the other thing, don't give up hope. Everybody's not musically inclined, but I named people who aren't, and they play chants. You learn 2 chants, learn 1 chant. But don't just say, Master said chanting's half the battle, so you say, that's not for me. That's not right either. I remember a humorous story of, this was years ago in Mumbai. This fellow had a meditation group in his home. So we did a meditation teacher training there. And there were 9-10 people there. And so I got to the lesson. This was a while back. I said, okay, so now today we're going to learn chanting. And so I said, who knows how to chant? And so only one man who had the group, he said, oh, I know how to chant. I said, okay, great. Here's the harmonium. Just play some chant. And he was playing the notes on the harmonium, and he was singing something else. Some other notes completely different. And some people just can't hear it at all. So he got off of that, and nobody wanted to say anything. And I said, listen, you're playing wonderfully, but you're not singing the same notes as you're playing. And he said, really? So this is why you need a teacher, because you can learn how to hear the notes and sing that note. And by the way, when you're singing the chants of Master and Swamiji, sing the way they wrote it. Don't change it up. Oh, I like it this way. Oh, I'm going to sing this note. And Swamiji was very clear about those notes. If you had a wrong note, he said, no, that's not the note. And I always thought, what does it matter? It's a note is a note. I said, no, it's not. Note isn't a note. Every note has a vibration. It takes you up, it takes you down, it takes you in, it takes you out. And so don't change up the chants because you like it this or that way. That doesn't, you lose the vibration. Each one has a certain vibration. And so anyway, get a teacher and sing the chants properly. And you'll find that, wow, they really, really help you in your meditation.
Thank you, Bhanaji. The next one is, I seem to be doing all right in meditation without chanting. So do I still have to add that to my sadhana?
Yeah, I answered that one already. Huh?
The next one, Dhanaji, is a live question. When I cannot chant, I can listen to the recordings. But does it make a difference whether I only listen or also chant along with those recordings?
Well, that's a good question. Here's the thing. Listening is kind of passive, isn't it? You're listening and then you're doing something else and you're doing this and you don't know what's gone on because you're just sort of it's passive. If you can open your mouth and sing, and if you can get an instrument and pluck it or play it, or you're engaged. You see the difference? I'm engaged now. I'm singing. I'm using my hands. I'm using my mouth. And so best thing is if you're listening to a chant, sing it. Sing along. I want only thee, Lord, thee, only thee. I mean, I'm into it. Otherwise, it's like, I mean, there's no activity. There's no activity going on there. So whatever you can do to, I want to use this term, fire up. Fire up your energy. It's like you can have a match that's just nothing's happened, or it's wet, or you can just, if you can get into chanting, that's what happens. You strike. And then you get into meditation, it's like, wow. It's a big difference than being passive in the chanting, passive in the meditation, passive after meditation. Your whole life is passive. So use it as a tool and instrument to really strike. That's a good term, strike up. And then you'll just go, wow, I can break through that wall now. Okay.
There's another live question, Dhanaji. Would learning the Bengali version of a chant also help us deepen? For example, Door of My House.
Oh, definitely. And Swamiji sang the chants in Bengali. I've just learned one in Hindi, but there's several in Hindi, but I'm going to sing this. I can't sing it for you now because I'm still working on it, but it's so beautiful. I got it from Vineet from the Hindi Sangha, and I love that chant. You know, it's From Joy I Came in Hindi. And Swamiji sang many. I should have said that. Thank you for whoever asked the question. He sang in Bengali. We grew up with hearing Bengali in Ananda, hearing Hindi. Swamiji often. And he had songs that he wrote that were in those languages. So he wasn't singing in English. I would say this might be a stretch, but maybe a quarter of the time or a fifth of the time he was singing in Bengali or Hindi. And we loved it. We didn't understand a word. But the vibration was like, whoa. And Swamiji was known in India for his beautiful singing. When he was here in the 50s, everybody knew Kriyananda. And they'd bring out a harmonium when he would come and he would sing. And he sang for Anandamoy Ma. And she'd ask, sing that again, sing it again. And those were in Hindi. And that for her would have been in Bengali. So yes, please do. Thank you, whoever brought that up.
Thank you, Dhanaji. That was Aditya. We have two more questions. I was brought up on a more Rajasic music. I like a heavy beat. The chants seem so simple and they just repeat the same words over and over. When might I start to enjoy them more?
Yeah, I remember a stage. I mean, at the beginning of Ananda, I was definitely used to heavy beat. I mean, our family, there was 5 kids. we would sing all the popular songs and, get it like something and act like it was a microphone and sing into that. We knew all the songs, and it was all heavy beat, Rajasic to the max. I mean, really. And then my parents, they played jazz, and then I got into classical at my house. I heard the violin. I just, gotta play that. Then I got to Ananda, and I heard the chants, and I thought the same thing. They're so simple. What do you get out of this? And then I start chanting them, and many times I just would be in tears. And I wonder what's happening to me. I don't even know this music. What is it? But I found it touched my soul. And I always thought I was playing and listening to and singing the soul music, but I wasn't. When I got to Ananda and I started singing Master's chants and Swamiji's, I could not sing them anymore. And so what I want to say is, let the other, just keep it along if you have to, but it's going to go. Little by little, you have more and more and more Master and Swamiji, Master and Swamiji. Then it's so little of the other. Then it goes away. But you don't have to say, I'll never listen to that music again. That's forced. Just let it work its miracle on you. When you start weeping, when you chant, you don't want the other. And you start going so deep. When you feel the presence of God when you chant, you just have to chant. I think more than meditation, this from my own experience, maybe, I don't know about you all, but I felt the presence of God far more while chanting than while meditating. And that's a drastic statement to make, but that's why we're having this class. It's that important. I felt it far more often, far deeper, deep experiences while chanting, much more than fighting my way through the meditation. And at other times meditation would start soaring up, but it was always coupled by the chant. And even if I just chanted without anything, even if I'm mental chanting's even better, isn't it? Even if you do mental chanting, if you can keep your mind on it. And singing out without an instrument. Just do anything to get started. And let Divine Mother coax you in to her heart. When that happens, you're sold. Yeah.
Final question, Dhyanaji, is sometimes with chanting, I find tears streaming down my face. I feel a divine presence within me. This is so wonderful. How can I keep that presence with me all the time, even after chanting?
Yeah. The thing to do, remember what Swamiji said in the reading I made, that after opening the heart, whipping up the devotion, you've got to lift it up. So that's why I asked you, after kirtan, after a lot of chanting, what happens? You automatically want to meditate. So after you chant, look up at the spiritual eye and go into your practices. Then, isn't that beautiful? That's when you combine devotion with kriya or meditation. Then you have the perfect balance. And that's when you start to soar. And so how do you keep the presence? As soon as you finish chanting, lift your gaze up and meditate. Afterwards, as we said earlier, you can take chanting along with you in the car or in your headset. Or I was saying earlier in another class that when I go from Delhi to Gurgaon, I'm singing the whole way and the whole way back. I just have Swamiji's, either the chants or the songs. All the driver who takes me knows all the songs, because I'm singing the whole way there, whole way back. I can't help but sing. So use it as a tool that way. And then when you get home, when you're at home, as somebody was saying earlier, just play it in your house. Whatever you feel. But just keep in mind, it's changing your consciousness. is changing your karma, is changing your destiny, is changing you so that you can realize God. It's not a light, I don't feel like it kind of thing that we do. It's only for people who are musical. No, please throw that out the window. And I recall finally in Assisi when we moved there to Italy, at the very beginning, this was in the early 80s, there was no, social media and internet, all these things, and everybody had a harmonium in their room. There was just a small group, and everybody at night would play their favorite chants in their room alone. And that you'd hear that person next door, yeah, I'm going to play that chant too. And you hear I want to play that chant. And then I remember once Swamiji was walking through the house, because we were there with him, and he said to us, now that's what I want to hear in this ashram, chanting. And he himself chanted till he just couldn't chant anymore. I was in one apartment, he was in the back, another apartment, we had one wall that was connecting, and I would hear him every night, without fail, every night. I would be gone to bed already, and then I'd hear Swamiji, middle of the night, he'd be chanting, and half was chanting, but half was weeping. I was transformed by that. So of course I would sit up and try to meditate, but every night he chanted. Remember, Master told him, you'd have to chant because you're going to have a long, dry path without chanting. Swamiji immediately got a harmonium, started praying for devotion, and Swami Sri Teswarji said, you can't take even one step on the path without devotion. So I hope this is helpful to everyone, to really see chanting as, let's see it as the way out. The way out of delusion and troubles and sorrows and suffering. It's the way out. Finally, again, another finally. One time I went through just such a difficult time when someone very dear to me had passed away, and I was new at Ananda, and one of the Ananda friends, and I just didn't know what to do. I was broken. And people tried talking with me. I said, I just don't want to talk about it. I just don't know what are you going to talk about? And then, what saved me? The harmonium. I just chanted for, I think it was 2 weeks. And I didn't talk to people. I chanted and chanted and chanted, and I just poured my heart. I just poured my heart out. And then I was fine. It was about 2 weeks long, I remember, but chanting healed me. So see it as something that heals you from every problem, worry, trouble. You can, even if you don't use it for meditation, which you should, use it to just get out of delusion. And you'll find that it's a gem that a lot of people haven't picked up and looked at yet. So God bless you all. Thank you, Nitendra. Have a wonderful day.